welcome to the Geeking Poetic podcast channel.
On this channel, we have shows and segments that contain adult humor,
bad language, dirty jokes,
and other stuff that is strictly for mature audiences only.
So if you're too young or too sensitive for this kind of material, then please do not watch our channel or our videos.
This channel is not for you.
Thanks much.
And now, on with the show! About to fall over.
And welcome, everybody, to Geeking Poetic podcast channel. I'm one of your hosts, Larry Roberts. One half of the dynamic duo is next to me, my Cape Crusader over here in her nice little pink sweater. I don't know what kind of superhero garb that's supposed to be, but we'll think.
I'm still coming up with a name.
Yeah, we'll think of something. It is none other than
Megan Guess.
And what we are here to talk about today is a show that we have been deeply invested in for the last several weeks, and we already did one episode a few weeks ago after episodes 1 through 3. And what show was that?
That was WANDA-VISION.
It was WANDA-VISION, the MCU, the first MCU-related television show on Disney Plus, focusing on Wanda and somehow or another, Vision, back from the dead. We still don't know why. 7 episodes later.
I was going to say, the way this
alert.
is going, I don't know if we will.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. We are not going to do a full recap. There are plenty of recaps out there. We're going to assume that if you are watching or listening to us talk about this, you've already watched the episodes. I would really highly suggest, if you are listening to us, that you go watch the episodes if you haven't already.
This is going to be very spoiler.
I mean, it's all
Spoilerific.
spoilers. That's the whole point of this, is that we talk about
Our theories and our thoughts. And
the nitty-gritty.
what the heck is going on.
Exactly. We don't totally know what the heck is going on.
We really don't.
Although,
Kind of frustrating.
Yeah, we have more answers than we did a few weeks ago, that's
we
for
do.
sure.
But we have more questions now, too, though.
Yeah, exactly. And we're both enjoying it, but I think we're both also a little perplexed because it's a great to have this mystery. I'm enjoying
It is, yes.
But it's kind of like...
I'm conflicted.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I'm enjoying the mystery part of it and kind of putting the pieces together and trying to figure it out myself. But at the same time, I'm like, God dang it, would you just give me some answers? I've never had a show leave me this perplexed.
Yeah. No, I granted. And I mean, obviously, they obviously designed it that way.
They did a very good job.
They did do a good job.
Kudos to you.
Well, it is, yeah. It's a show that every time you get some answers and you're like, wow, yeah, this episode revealed a whole lot. And then it's like, but now we have even more questions. So, I mean, it's fine. I guess that's what it is. It's definitely...
Keeps you coming back.
Yeah, and it's definitely a unique show. It's fun It's fun to watch and see what all the like little hints and
It's like, what does that mean?
Easter eggs. Yeah, there's all sorts of like little things in there. I mean, there's tons of videos about that stuff on YouTube if you want to delve more into those things. We're going to talk about some of that here, but we're not going to reveal all because there's just way too many
Too
of them.
much. We'll be here for hours.
And there are, as far as we know, 2 more episodes yet to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a little bit more past the middle of the whole show and everything, but we thought it'd be fun to pick up here, and rather than wait till the very end. And there's just way too much to talk about. There's already a ton to talk about,
Right?
so we thought we'd do it here, and we're gonna get into stuff, but we'll just hit bullet points about each episode.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 4 was when we got the backstory of Monica Rambeau, how she wound up
In the hex
in the first place, when she and Jimmy Woo, who gets introduced in this episode. We know
Love Jimmy Woo.
Yeah, we loved him from Ant-Man and the Wasp and all his little silly trying to learn the magic card tricks, which he finally mastered. Good for you, Jimmy Woo. They get sent to investigate the hex bubble thing that's going on around this town of Westview. Now, prior to that, we come to find out that she had been part of the snap, the blip or whatever, and she had disappeared. Her mother, Monica Rambeau, who we know from Captain Marvel, she had been sick during that time when Monica was blipped, and she died from cancer.
She is no more.
She is no more. Monica should be the head of SWORD, but is not because she was blipped. We get introduced to this other dickhead character named Tyler Hayward, yeah, who's your typical jerky, kind of like Thunderbolt Ross, all those kind of government asshole guys that just don't care about people and only care about the bottom line and weapons and
what they want out of it.
What they want and ruling the world kind of thing. So we got introduced to that. We also got introduced to Darcy Lewis, who you should remember is played by Kat Dennings, and
she just wants a coffee.
That's all she wants, is to sit down and watch WANDAVISION and have a coffee.
Right.
And we got introduced to her in this episode. She gets brought in because, if you remember her from Thor and the Dark World and all that stuff, she was becoming a scientist, and they bring her in to help them out with this whole Westview situation. She's the one that figures out that this is actually some weird television broadcast thing going on that they can watch on old TV sets. That's her role in it. We get to see the whole thing play out of how Monica got sucked into the bubble, became Geraldine for a couple of episodes, and then when it became clear that she was an outsider, when she started talking about Ultron and Pietro and all that stuff, and Wanda was not having it, so kicked her right on out of town.
Out of Dodge.
Yeah. And that was pretty much what you find out in that. You also come to find out in that and the next episode that Monica may have been slightly affected by her visit in and out of the bubble.
Maybe altered a little.
Altered a little bit. Yeah, they do some tests on her, and the x-rays come back showing that she's just like glowing light, which they think it's broken. It's not. And they come to find out later, Darcy comes to find out through snooping through medical records that Monica's DNA has been changed. And
she can't go back in.
She can't go back in because they
dangerous.
don't know what it could do to her. So
Monica's determined she's going back in.
she gets determined that she's going to go back in sooner or later, but that comes a little bit later.
A little bit later.
Getting into episode 5, that was the 80s episode, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was, they had one of the best intros of all of the shows because they nailed that whole family ties, growing pains type intro thing. That was great. And a very special episode of...
Yeah, even throwing in a little Full House, even though that was 90s, but...
Yeah, well, they had to get... You got Elizabeth Olsen on there. You have to get a little bit of Full House in there. They're like, she's probably like, okay, don't go too crazy with the Full House shit, guys, But yeah, so they got that in there. And then the crux of that is that we get to see not only that Wanda and Vision are struggling to be parents all of a sudden, but the fact that their kids are special because the kids, they have some kind of powers.
Yeah, they can age very quickly.
Yeah, and they can...
They say kids grow up fast, but Jesus.
Yeah, they grow up really, really fast. And they are able to control it. They actually age themselves up first to age 5 and then to age 10. We see that Vision is getting more and more frustrated with not knowing who he is and where they came from, and he sees that Wanda is being very careless with a lot of the things she's doing, especially in front of Agnes, who Agnes is always there. This is also the episode where Agnes first reveals that she's...
I need to do that again.
Yeah, when she breaks character and says she's gonna redo her lines again and everything. So now we're getting even more hints that Agnes is not like the rest of the town. She is not just under some kind of puppetry control. She's very aware of everything, that it's a TV show and all that stuff.
Don't trust her.
No, don't trust her. And that ends up being like the main thing of that episode. Is we see that. We also see Vision gradually getting more and more suspicious. He has the moment when he comes across the sword email, letting that from Darcy, letting it know that the radiation levels on the town because of this X bubble could be very dangerous, just like what they did to Monica, altering her DNA and all this stuff. Last but not least, he ends up snapping Norm out of his haze, and comes to find out that someone, a she, is controlling them, and it's very painful
Please
for the
stop
resident.
her. Please stop her.
Yeah, he says her. He doesn't say Wanda. He says her. And so now Vision is on high alert about all of this stuff. Meanwhile, stupid ass Hayward tried to send in this drone to supposedly just to spy on Wanda, maybe communicate with her. That's what Monica thinks. But actually,
it's gonna destroy her.
Yeah, he sent it in weaponized to try and kill Wanda.
Just a simple bomb's gonna blow her up. Really? You need something more powerful than that.
Yeah. Well, it's because Hayward's an idiot.
It's true.
He's continued to show himself to be an idiot, and he's getting more erratic and everything with his behavior. Wanda obviously shuts that down, threatens them. Comes out face to face, threatens Sword that leave me in the town alone, or there's gonna or there's gonna be hell to pay. Monica is still convinced that Wanda's not the bad guy,
right?
And everything. She's still unlike.
She's in pain. We have to help her,
right?
Just like everybody else.
Unlike Hayward, who just
fuck everybody.
Yeah, which you think that he's there to help save this town from Wanda's control, but
nope, he's only there for his own interests.
Yeah, which we found out more in the next episode. But before we get to that, the end, I gotta mention it because the end of episode 5 was the big bomb drop of the appearance of Pietro or Peter.
Just in the nick of time.
Yeah, just in the nick of time. Except the problem is it's not Pietro. Not the Pietro we know from Age of Ultron.
No, he's a little different.
It's Evan Peters portraying his Quicksilver Peter character from the X-Men universe, which up to this point has never had any crossover at all, any affiliation with the MCU. So that was a big one. That was a really, really big deal.
Maybe this is how we get our mutants.
Well,
first introduction of them.
Yeah, I would like to get into that in a minute.
Okay.
Going into episode 6, then that's the Halloween episode. Everybody was looking forward to that.
That was a fun one.
A lot of spoilers about that coming up because we get to see Vision and Wanda in their pseudo comic book costumes. We got to see Billy in his costume, very much looking like his Wiccan costume, because Tommy and Billy, spoilers, are in the Marvel universe. They grow up to become superheroes. They become Speed and Wiccan. And this is the episode where we see them discover their powers. Tommy is very fast, just like his uncle, who he seems to be idolizing.
Yeah.
And Billy is very much like his mother. He's kind of sensitive, and he is
scared of his uncle.
Yeah, he's a little scared of his uncle, which could be telling. And he has telekinetic type powers, just like his mother. And this episode sees them taking on a Malcolm in the Middle kind of motif. And while the kids are going out trick-or-treating and everything, Vision ends up discovering more about the town, realizes that the town is under some sort of weird control. He encounters Agnes, who seems like she's under control as well. She's not.
Dressed as a witch.
Dressed as a witch. That's important. Yeah, that's important in a minute. And comes to find out from Agnes that he's an Avenger. He doesn't know what that means. Comes to find out that he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says, am I dead? Because you are. And so he becomes determined to break outside the bubble, which he does with dire consequences. Yeah, because he starts to disintegrate.
You can't die again, right, though?
Yeah, I love when Peter says that. And
not cool, dude. Not cool.
Yeah, Wanda zaps him good for that. But, I mean, Peter shows that there's something up with him because he is fully aware of everything that's going on.
Questioning her about it.
Questioning her about it. Realizes that he looks different. Like, everything. Like, he's very aware. And that's pretty much where that goes with that episode. Wanda ends up saving Vision at the end from completely disintegrating by expanding the bubble, which has consequences as well because it ends up sucking Darcy now into the WandaVision town universe and everything of Westview, as well as some other agents and stuff. Meanwhile, Jimmy Woo and Monica are trying to figure out a way to get into the town and everything. They're
off to meet her, whoever she's running
yeah,
with.
which they've still never explained who it is that helped develop this.
No.
All she said was her guy, some engineer.
Yeah.
And we have some soldiers that in episode 7 helped deliver this vehicle
Yeah,
thing.
but they never say who
Developed
contact
it.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they might be leaving that till either. Yeah, I know. They might be leaving that till like the very end, or maybe we won't find out at all until like one of the movies or something. So then now that, I mean, basically in episode 7, we have a take on, it's more modern, I guess, modern times, kind of, we're in like the 2010s or something like
Yeah.
that.
Like The Office kind of thing.
Like The Office. Yeah, that's the whole like breaking the fourth wall. I think that's what it's called, right?
Breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah,
Yep.
name of the episode. It's like The Office or Modern Family, very much like that. And it's like the day after all of the Halloween events. She's wiped out from what she did, expanding the bubble. She's also realizing that she's kind of losing a grip on everything because all along, she's been claiming like,
I didn't do it.
Right. She knows that she is controlling this world to some degree. Like, she knows that this is like what she wants, but she doesn't have any understanding
of how it's happening.
Yes, exactly. Understanding is a good word. She doesn't have an understanding of how she's doing it or even how it started. And she seems to be of the mindset that she is not the one that is like controlling all the people and stuff, even though Vision thinks she is, even though we've heard people saying she is doing it, though nobody's named her. This episode ends up being all about her really needing to just try to get it together, and she sort of punishes herself, I guess, by taking
Having a her day.
A her day, yeah. She's got to stay in. Once again, Agnes shows up,
Just in the nick of time.
offering to take the kids away from her for the day so that she can have some time, and she agrees to it. After the kids leave, we see that Wanda is struggling to literally keep the world together, like
All the pieces of her house are changing to the different time period.
Right,
really
yeah.
Crazy looking.
Like flashing in and out, like a glitching program is what it's like a glitching computer program. She knows that she's losing it. She looks like shit. she calls it like having having a case of the Mondays, and she looks it and everything. Meanwhile, Vision wakes up. He locates Darcy, has to snap her out of her haze or whatever you want to call it that takes over her, just like the other people. They are trying to make their way back to Wanda and Vision's house. They keep running into all sorts of obstacles, which is pretty funny.
Something is stopping them.
Somebody or something is definitely trying to delay them from getting back too soon, until Vision finally says,
"Screw this, I'm flying."
Yeah, fuck it, I could fly. Why am I trying to drive back in a funnel cake truck? Yeah, exactly. Leaving Darcy there. Meanwhile, Monica has met up with the aforementioned troops that are on her side and are friends of hers, delivering this battering ram tank thing that's supposed to protect her and be able to get through the wall, the hex bubble. Doesn't.
It does not.
No, doesn't.
This was not easy peasy at all.
No, they claimed easy peasiness, and they were wrong. And it almost takes her out, man. That thing is
We almost
rough.
lost Monica.
But Monica says, screw it, I'm going to try to go through the wall anyway. She does it just on foot. And
no helmet, no nothing, just goes.
Right, and the big fear there is because of the fact that Darcy had already told her that her DNA and everything had been altered by going through this bubble before. Didn't know if it could kill her. It could be really bad for her. Well, don't know whether it's going to be bad for her in the long run or not, but what it did do is that it mutated her into a superpowered human. And it's not a big surprise. That might be a big spoiler for you out there if you're not into the comic books. But again, Monica Rambeau is a character from the comic books. She was Captain Marvel, actually, for a time. She was a Captain Marvel. There's been many Captain Marvels, unfortunately. Marvels, boy, oh boy, they're all over the place with their Captain Marvels. But she's more known by the name Photon, and has this like powerful light power thing, which falls in line with
explains the X-rays.
Exactly. And it also is a little nod to the fact that when we first see the inside of the Sword headquarters back in episode 4, we saw a memorial plaque for her mother, Maria Rambeau.
Said Photon, didn't it?
Said Maria Photon Rambeau.
Uh-huh.
So I think that, we're going to see Monica become Photon, take that on, because that was her mother's,
She was so cool looking when she came out of that with her eyes. That was
fuck
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, fuck yeah. It's pretty exciting. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that whole scene was really fun.
It was really cool. And she goes and just makes a beeline for Wanda's place. Wanda is not happy to see her.
No.
At all.
She tries to boot her out again.
Tries to boot her out again.
Thank goodness she got those powers.
Yeah, guess
Fight
what?
back.
Guess what, Wanda? You've got a formidable opponent here, because now Monica can stand her ground against you and your powers and stuff, So, and it looks like she might actually get through to Wanda and starts to make some sense to Wanda and really get through to her until Agnes shows
Fucking
up.
Agnes every time.
Yes, Agnes shows up just in the nick of time to intervene and takes Wanda away to the house where Agnes lives, and leaves Monica basically standing there. Before they get to the house, earlier, Agnes was at the house with the two boys, and Billy notes that he likes it there. He actually likes it over at Agnes's house, because
they weren't happy about going, but now he likes it.
Because it's quiet.
It's quiet. She's quiet.
She's quiet, he says. He doesn't sense any noise coming from inside her at all, unlike other people.
She didn't look too happy about that.
No, she seemed a little surprised about that. And we come to find out the reason being for that is because she is Agatha Harkness.
Knew it.
Yep. Called it.
Oh, knew it.
Agatha Harkness
Knew not to trust her.
is a character from the comic books who is a witch. She was one of the original Salem witches, and she's very powerful. And so we come to find out that, and Wanda comes to find out, because once she gets to the house,
Goes looking for her boys.
she goes looking for the boys, doesn't find the boys, but basically finds like this weird dungeon downstairs with some magical glowing book thing.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Right.
Source of Agatha's powers, I would assume, but she reveals herself to Wanda and says, you're not the only powerful witch around here. And then we get a really funny little montage intro thing, like all the other shows had their own little, it was Agnes After All or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah. Showing everything that she was behind.
Yeah, showing all the stuff that she was behind and everything, showing that she was, and to some point, that she was behind the whole appearance of Peter and all that. So now, that's kind of where they end it.
Is it, though?
Well, there was the after credits scene, which showing Monica now snooping around the house. She opens up those shutter doors, and all of a sudden Peter shows up, kind of startles her, calling her a Snoop. Yeah. Snoopy Snoop or whatever. And that's where it cuts off. But
yeah, that can't be good, because he was brought in by Agnes.
Right. So who is he? I mean, yeah. So, I mean, that pretty much brings us up to, up to the point of recapping everything, which is still probably even more recap than we needed to do, but I feel like it's necessary because I want to get into breaking down each character and what I think they're about and where they're going.
Okay.
So breaking it down into each character and stuff. First and foremost, the one that I'm really frustrated about, and we'll talk about it because we were literally just talking about him a second ago. Let's talk about Peter.
Okay.
So I don't know what to make of Peter.
Yeah. Knowing now what we know, I think he's just a generated pawn in Agnes's scheme of whatever she's got going on.
So you don't think he's an actual person? You don't think he's the actual Peter Maximoff from the X-Men universe? You think she just created him?
Yeah, because just like in the episode when he appeared, there was like an arm like holding him up, and then when you show her creating him, it's like all her stuff is on his back.
Right.
Her energy or whatever it is. Like she made him there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's real.
I get that. I just don't understand. I'm going to be really frustrated if they ended up bringing in Evan Peters to play this role just to say, oh no, we just thought we'd punk you all. You thought it was going to be some crossover from the X-Men universe since he's playing the same character, but he's not actually the same character. He's just some made up thing. He's not brought in from an alternate universe and all that stuff. I don't know.
You said she's really powerful, so maybe she did bring him in from a different universe.
Yeah.
'Cause he made a comment about he heard Wanda calling for him, and he came to her. He didn't say where.
Right. I really hope. I've all along been thinking, okay, this is the way they're going to start the multiverse. Because we know that Disney now owns the rights to the X-Men stuff. Like they could, if they want to bring in Wolverine, they want to bring in Cyclops, they can. They have the right to do all of that stuff. So to get those rights, to get the actor that played this character, and he's such a popular character, people loved him as Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. To do that and have that just be like a psych, I don't know, man. I hope, I'm telling you this right now, Disney, I hope for your sake that isn't what you did, because people are going to really be pissed off. Like, that's going to be a revolt, okay? That's going to be a major bummer. And it seems kind of pointless, too.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I hope you're right.
Yeah, I don't know, because all along I thought that was where it was going to go. I thought, like, yeah, this is the multiverse thing. And now, like you said, after the whole reveal we saw at the end of episode 7 with Agnes controlling it, and how now I don't know. And it's a real bummer. So I'm with you. Now I'm starting to get impatient, and I'm like,
I was going to say, that's the answer with more questions to it.
Right. That's all we get. Same thing. So, moving on to Monica. Like, it's amazing that we get to see her
Photon.
hopefully be Photon. But then my question is like, where are they planning on going with that? Because we've not heard any kind of
news of
announcement of her, like, factoring in any way. We've had all these shows announced. We've had movies. I mean,
but Disney is becoming famous for keeping that kind of thing under wraps until it's revealed.
Yeah.
Just like The Mandalorian and Boba Fett.
My concern is I hope that she doesn't end up being expendable too. You know what I mean? Like, I hope it isn't something where we see her die at the end of this or something, like, or she just gets...
I don't know. I think she's too important. I think
I hope so.
will be going on to another show that just has not been announced yet.
I hope so.
I think they're keeping that one close.
I hope so, man. I hope so. There's also the thing of, I mean, we know that they've talked about they're going to do a second Captain Marvel movie. However, there's a lot of people that don't care for Carol Danvers.
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah, like you said earlier, there's a lot of Captain Marvels.
Right.
Who says it has to be that one?
Well, you're right. So maybe they factor it in. Maybe Photon Monica, maybe she ends up becoming the new Captain Marvel or becomes our galaxy's Captain Marvel. Who knows? I don't know. I'm very curious about where that's all going to go. But I really do like that they've introduced that character into the universe. I think it's great. I love the actress.
Yeah.
I love the Tiona Paris. Like, she's great. I love how they made her, like, an empathetic kind of person. Like she clearly cares about people. She's intelligent. She carries herself well. You know, like
I love the dynamic with her, Wu, and Darcy.
oh man,
I love that.
If they did a show with those three, that would fucking rule.
I am so on board with that.
Yeah. Like if they did, because I know, well, we could talk about him, like Jimmy Woo, like bringing that character back, genius. Genius. You know, because he seemed like he could be kind of like a throwaway character of sorts.
Yeah, he did. But I'm really extra loving him now.
Yeah.
I want his own show, like
Yeah.
X-Files style.
And the dynamic between those three, like that's what would be really cool if they did some sort of X-Files-y, superhero-y
Those
X-Files show
three.
with those three, where she's got like the powers and she's kind of like the, you know, the leader, the boss or whatever, you know. He's sort of like the goofy
Comedic
guy,
value.
you know, somewhat, yeah, sort of like the right, because he and Darcy are kind of like the odd couple.
Yeah.
Because
She's all science.
and she's so Oscar, you know, she's so kind of like, you know, whatever, give me my fucking coffee, you know, screw you, asshole, kind of thing. And he's so kind of
I'm gonna
like,
bring everybody coffee.
yeah, and he's sort of like the straight like kind of guy, like with his suit and tie, but he's kind of very gentle, nice guy. And then yeah, I think that could be awesome. Now whether or not they're going to do that, I don't know. I would love it if they did take a cue from the fans
Yeah,
and
that'd
say,
be a missed opportunity, I think.
yeah, I agree. So I love that, and yeah, I love them. I love Darcy being in this and stuff, because I always felt like she was an entertaining character, but she never felt like an important character.
Right.
You know, it was like, well, she has to provide the comic relief, you know, because what's her face, Jane Foster, you know, was more of a serious character and all this kind of stuff and everything. So we needed somebody to be the comic foil there, you know, for her, for that character. Now she has a purpose.
Yeah, I love how they made her the escape artist.
Yeah.
It's one of those telling things, I think.
Well,
going
that's
to come through.
Well, and that gets back to the thing that Peter said in episode 6 when he brought up the fact that everybody, even when they're changed in the bubble and stuff in the town, they're always still who they are, just under the surface. And that was the thing. I mean, we've been moving on to, let's move on to the big kahuna, which is Agnes.
Agatha.
Yeah, or Agatha. I'm going to still call her Agnes
Yeah, me
for
too.
now. Agnes, I mean, we have been guessing for episodes and episodes now that Agnes had a bigger role to play in this. We didn't know to what extent, but
We still don't, really.
no, we really don't. And that's the thing. Like, they left off episode 7 with her seeming like, oh, it's all her. Like, she's the bad guy. She's the one in control.
No, she was behind everything.
She's behind it, but she isn't necessarily. But who's behind Agatha?
Right.
Because if you know anything about Agatha from the comic books, she is not like some evil mastermind. That's not her role. She's a pawn as well. And the theory has been that the person that is, or whatever being that is actually controlling Agnes, is Nightmare. And part of the reason people think Nightmare is the villain here is because back when they first were talking about doing Doctor Strange, the first movie, they had brought up that the villain was going to be Nightmare.
Okay.
So there was already designs for Nightmare to be used in the MCU. However, they ended up deciding to go with the whole Dormammu thing, and that, I think that worked out better anyway. I really loved that movie and that arc. So then it was kind of talked about and assumed that Nightmare would probably be the villain in the second Doctor Strange movie. Now, we know the second Doctor Strange movie is coming out. We know that
Multidimensional?
we know that it deals with, the multiverse of madness. And we also know that Elizabeth Olsen is in the movie. So Wanda's going to be in the movie. So there's all these things adding up that make us think that Nightmare is going to be brought in and that there's going to be a connection between WandaVision and the Doctor Strange movie.
Yes.
So could it be nightmare? It would seem to stand to reason. Even in past episodes, like in episode 6, the term nightmare gets dropped in conversation a
Did
couple
it?
of times. Yeah, when they say, oh, it's like being in a nightmare. It's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And as we've learned, like we talked about at the beginning of this,
Nothing is.
nothing's throwaway. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything is like something. Everything means something. There's all sorts of little hints and things like that. So while Agatha obviously is behind so much of this, and I believe now that she is the she that Norm was referring to when he said it, you know,
I think she's the one controlling the people.
Yes, exactly, because Wanda clearly doesn't seem to have any consciousness of being that person.
Mm-hmm.
Wanda's creating the world, so to speak. She's kind of able to change the scenery and all that stuff, but she isn't able to actually get into people's heads and control them.
Yeah, otherwise she would have no reason for hiding their power. She's controlling them. Why hide? She just wanted to blend in.
Right, exactly. So that is an interesting thing. Another person that's been brought up, another being that's been brought up that could be the antagonist here, could be Mephisto.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the comic books, the way that Tommy and Billy were initially conceived of was they were created by Mephisto, and Agatha had a role in that and
Was
everything.
they like a piece of him or something?
And so basically, kind of like Vision, they would then, in essence, probably not be able to exist outside of the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Because how does Vision exist? We know that Vision is supposed to, we assume that he was brought back to life from his corporeal, synthesoid body, because we saw the whole thing where supposedly she burst into the Sword headquarters and stole Vision's body and all that stuff.
How does he have powers?
Well, how does he any of it? How is he talking, walking? We don't know. I mean, who is making him alive? Is Wanda making him alive? I don't think Wanda is making him alive. I think Agatha and whoever is in controlling Agatha and stuff, commanding Agatha, they're the ones that made Vision alive. Mm-hmm. I don't think Wanda brought him to life. She may have tried.
Mm-hmm.
I think she tried. And there's
their attention.
Well, there's a lot of rumors out there. We may as well get into some of these rumors, right? There's a lot of rumors out there. There's supposed leaks of information. You never know what you can believe or not believe. But there's a lot of rumors out there that supposed leaked script things and stuff like that reveal that Wanda had gone to get the body. She was attempting to do something. She wanted to save him. She wanted to bring him, figure out if there was a way she could bring him back to life, and she couldn't. She can't reconstruct the Mind Stone. She tries. She can't do it. She's completely distraught and out of her head, in essence, from doing this. And then that's when Agatha steps in and kind of has her sort of make a deal with the devil, so to speak, of like, I'm sorry you can't make this happen, but I can make it happen for you, kind of thing.
Yeah, you think she did that and Wanda just doesn't remember?
Yeah, well, I think Wanda has been shown to have some sort of glamoring on her too, because you mentioned that Monica said, I can sense pain inside Wanda, and Wanda herself
doesn't seem to be in pain.
But I think she's under some sort of kind of spell type thing of some sort that she doesn't always seem to be totally. It's like sometimes she's totally sucked into the whole bullshit of the WandaVision universe herself.
Mm-hmm.
When Agnes broke character in episode 5 and said, do you want me to take that again or whatever, Wanda seemed
very confused.
Totally confused, and like she almost like wasn't aware that she was on a TV show. So what's that about? And so many times that even when Wanda's sitting there, even going all the way back to the first episode, when she's being questioned by Vision's boss of like, where did you guys come from and when did you get married and all this?
She's very flustered. She's like, I don't know.
And she doesn't know. And my point is if this was all just her construct, why wouldn't she have just made something up?
Right.
Why wouldn't she have created some origin? Why did she seem like she was even just having a hard time wrapping her mind around the idea of it? No, I believe Wanda is under some kind of control as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, and I think she's feeling pain the same way Norm is feeling pain and everything. I think that she is being controlled.
Yeah, that makes it even more interesting when Monica confronts her
Right.
after becoming Photon, and Wanda says something to the effect of, aren't I the villain? Aren't I though?
Yeah, but aren't
Like-
I the villain? And that's why, but Monica doesn't believe it. And Monica
Right.
keeps testing her and is like, well, then, take me out then. If you're the villain, just take me out. Here I am. I'm not going to fight back. And Wanda can't do it. And that's what I'm saying. Even when Wanda went in episode, what was that, 5, when Wanda went outside the bubble to confront those soldiers.
She could have just took them all out and be done with it.
Well, and the thing is that she shows up, all of a sudden she's outside the bubble. She's in her full garb of her battle garb. She's got her accent back and everything. I
You're
don't
not sure
know.
it's her, are you?
I'm not sure. I don't either. Either that's not Wanda that did that at all, and that was Agnes pretending, like, because maybe she could make herself look like that. Either that or she did that because she's under control. I think she was being controlled. Because why would she have her Avengers garb on? Why would she suddenly have her Sokovian accent back that she hasn't had since prior to the Civil War movie? Why would that happen? There's more to that. There's definitely more to that. And I think that it's either in part because she's being controlled, she's being puppeted, or in certain instances, it may not even be her. Like, that might not have been her. We did not see her physically go from standing there with the boys and then walking over there and turning into and changing. We never saw that. Who knows? I
Certainly not us.
No, exactly. And then, I mean, as far as Vision, so here's the thing. If you've seen the various trailers that have been out for a while now, the little sneak peeks, all these different things, we've seen that Vision has some scenes that we've yet to see yet, where we've seen Wanda talking about how this is their home now, and Vision says, well, then we should defend our home.
Right.
So we haven't seen that yet. So where do you think, I mean, right now it seems like Vision is kind of anti-Wanda. Because, well, he's also under the impression that Wanda is at the root of all this, which now we know is not the case.
Right. I think clearly, since Monica can't get to Wanda, she's going to go for Vision. Her and Vision and Darcy are going to get together and kind of explain to him what they think is going on. So he gets back on the side for Wanda.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm just curious because I don't know. At what point, obviously I'm hoping if those scenes that we saw are correct and they're not just something that was like deleted out or changed or something, and they're false teases, I'm hoping that Wanda does get her wits back about her and they, maybe they do free the rest of the town. Maybe they're going to continue to live there. I can't imagine them being allowed to continue to live there after that. I don't know, but I don't see how. My point I'm getting at is if they end up defeating Agnes and whomever is controlling this and they get rid of the bubble and they release all the people, what is that going to mean for Vision in terms of his existence? What is that going to mean for the boys, for Tommy and Billy?
Well, don't the boys essentially die in the comics and she finds a way of bringing them back later?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe that's what happens. Maybe they disappear.
Yeah.
And maybe Vision does too, and if he's just his body again.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still so much to figure out. I hate to see Vision go. I love Vision. He's one of
Nobody says it has to be the end. Just like the boys.
The boys are one thing. I could see them maybe her figuring out a way to bring the boys back and make them real. I'm not sure about Vision. I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to see the end of Vision.
You think?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's this is all just...
Well, that's his wishes, so...
That's just my opinion. I have a feeling that Vision is going to probably make some great sacrifice to save everybody.
Again.
Yeah. That's Vision's lot in life, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I think that we're going to see the end of Vision. Because I think that I just don't see how he can exist without the Mind Stone. You know? However, here's something I want to bring up, and I know we're running a little long here, but here's a couple of more theory things that I want to bring up. Now, getting again into the whole multiverse aspect of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we know that the Mind Stone was destroyed. Mind Stone in
our universe.
Our universe, the Mind Stone was destroyed. That does not mean that the Mind Stone does not exist in other possible multiverses or timelines.
Maybe that's part of Wanda's whole point of going with Doctor Strange.
In the multiverse of madness.
Uh-huh.
It could be. Maybe that's how the series ends, is her going off into the multiverse trying to find the Mind Stone. You know, and then Doctor Strange, who knows? Who the hell knows? But I do think that my point is I don't think that Vision can exist without the Mind Stone. I think he's existing in this world because he's not really existing.
Right.
I think he's
a pawn.
He's like a puppet. He's like a marionette. He's being brought to life in this faux kind of way, but he's not really alive.
Right.
So I do think he needs the Mind Stone. And I think there could be a chance that we see that sort of thing play out. I mean, we already know that we're getting a Loki series where that's a result of the multiverse because they botched that whole thing in Endgame, and he got away with
my head starts hurting.
Yeah, he got away with the cubes. So now there's Loki existing in some alternate timeline. You know, that kind of thing could have all sorts of ramifications for the future. Here's the one last thing I want to bring up is that Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen, Vision and Wanda, have both in interviews for the show mentioned multiple times that the ending is big and it's going to be amazing and it's going to be mind-blowing. They have alluded to that it's going to be, you know, kind of like on par with the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, you know, with Luke Skywalker showing up, this big surprise thing. And Paul Bettany has been very specific about how he got to work with someone that he always wanted to work with. Okay. And that it's going to be a big deal and that people's minds are going to be blown, like we said, and that there's going to be, you know, a lot of talk and people are going to be very excited. So who the hell is that?
It's got to be somebody that they're bringing in.
I would hope.
Like you were talking about, like X-Men or Fantastic Four.
Right.
Something like that. It's got to be.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, who could it be? Could it be Patrick Stewart coming in playing, you know, Professor X? Because if there's anybody that could possibly reach out into the alternate universes and stuff, he could be looking for Peter.
I need to go back. I need to watch all the X-Men now, don't I?
Yeah, you really do.
All right.
Yeah. It could be him. You know, could it be Magneto? You know, because there's the Magneto and Wanda and Pietro connection in the comic books. Mm-hmm. You know, could it be there's all sorts of people, and I think this is really wishful thinking, but who knows how it could tie in. Could it be Wolverine?
Oh.
You know, could it be somebody like that? I mean, could it be somebody else entirely? Could it be a great classic actor or actress playing a role that, you know, from the comic books or something that we haven't seen yet?
Maybe. I don't see that being as mind-blowing.
I don't know.
People haven't met them before.
I don't know. Because we haven't seen the Watcher yet, really. The guy that, Uatu, the Watcher, the guy that watches over all the universes and stuff. He can see all the universes. So it could be somebody portraying him. It could be some amazing actor or actress, again. Who knows? So I think that even though we're only 2 episodes away from the finale, there is still so much to get into. I
don't know how they're going to wrap this all up. 30-minute episodes, 2 30-minute episodes.
Well, that's the other thing is I heard that the last couple episodes might be longer. I heard this one was supposed to be longer, and it felt really short. I didn't think it felt short. I'm not sure.
Short.
It was like 35 minutes or something like that.
It was short. I wanted more. I need more now.
Yeah. I thought we'd get even more hints. I mean, they have those commercials and stuff. Each commercial seems to be, hinting more and more to the stuff. I thought, and I want to bring this up, one last thing, was the commercial in the newest episode, in episode 7, was talking about the Nexus.
Yeah.
So what's the Nexus?
About coming to terms with the reality.
Talking about reality and stuff. Yeah. I mean, is the Nexus what they're living in? Is that what the Hex bubble is?
Maybe.
Or is the Nexus something to do with the multiverse? I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of videos, if there isn't already today, out talking about all these things, the Nexus and Agatha,
what they all mean,
what all it means. There's probably little things we've even missed and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's so much.
I was like, I got to watch it again. I know I missed a ton.
Right. But what we want to know is, what do you all think out there? What are your theories about where this is going and what it all means? Because obviously we've got our own. We even differ a little bit on where we think certain things stand. I don't pretend to have any of the answers. All I know is that a lot of stuff has been based on the comic books and everything. And yeah, it really makes me wonder if they're going to bring mutants into the universe now finally, because there's never been
talking about it. There's been hints.
Right. I mean, it would, yeah. I mean, are we going to find out that Monica became what she did because she had some latent mutant gene that was triggered by the bubble?
Maybe.
I don't know. I really don't know. But it would be awesome if we get some kind of fucking answer about all this stuff. Because, yeah.
It's frustrating.
It is a mind twister.
Lovingly frustrating.
Yeah, lovingly frustrating, exactly. But anyway, let us know what you all think. If you've got any insights, any stuff that we did not touch upon. That's why we're doing this, is because we want to have dialogue about this stuff. And maybe some of you can help us make heads or tails of what's going on. But meanwhile, watch the next couple of weeks of WANDAVISION, and we will be back in a couple of weeks to talk about it.
Thing up.
We'll just do an overall wrap up, and then, I'm sure we'll talk about what this all means for the future of the MCU. Because then right after that, we're going to be diving right into talking about and recapping The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because that starts up.
Is that coming soon?
Almost immediately after.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to come out around the end of March.
No time.
No.
Nice.
And I'm really looking forward to that one, because those two characters are my favorites.
Yeah,
so
you've been excited since that was announced.
Absolutely.
Jumping off the walls and everything.
Yep. I'm very excited about that. So we're going to have much more Marvel Cinematic Universe talk here on Geeking Poetic for you. I'm Larry.
I'm Megan.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks to talk about this. See ya.
Later, guys.